if we can figure out a way to make it as easy as signing up for a new bank account, then I think we're going to satisfy or fill in something that everybody needs.
Hey folks, Flo here with Blockchain North. Final interview of Futurist 2025. I'm not saying if I'm happy or not happy, it's just a fact. I'm here with Jason from Onchain. We interviewed you last year and his Instagram short clip got 600,000 views. So our goal today, Jason, is to reach 1 million. So, and you only have to say one sentence, really, right?
Well, I don't think it's going to be that one. But yeah, I think, at the end of the day, if you listen back to what we were saying last year, I think the trend is pretty much on track, to actually fulfill this this prophecy.
Yeah, which was what exactly? Do you remember what was said?
I mean,
within
so we're working on this actual kind of mission as well. But I was just saying that, in the next couple of years, but I said it
You said a couple of months, I think?
Yeah, I said a couple of months. I said, I think the next kind of 6 to 12 months, we're going to start seeing kind of your everyday finance move on chain. And this means kind of seeing this new era of banks that are going to be fully kind of on chain, where you're going to get essentially your everyday banking is going to come from there. So every single market that doesn't have your traditional banking infrastructure, brick and mortar, which is what we have here in developed countries, they're going to have access to financial services through their mobile phone. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need to have kind of the actual same infrastructure in the back, because that's what blockchain, enables and democratizes access to financial services.
So you stand behind your claim. Maybe the timing was a little bit sort of optimistic, but we're on trend.
Yeah, I think we are, and we're starting to see some seeds of that. And this year we're seeing massive stablecoin news. Mm-hmm. More and more stablecoin credit cards are hitting the market. And I think the natural evolution from there is, going beyond kind of the payments and really tapping in that, everyday finance, like how we operate our daily lives, receiving your wage, direct debits, effectively having access to financial products and services that are effectively decentralized, the whole kind of thing that we've been hearing about, decentralized finance. Yeah, it's going to become something, because I think the unlock, and a lot of people will agree, a lot of those projects and service providers in DeFi that are providing, these incredible yields on whichever asset, or, crypto-backed loans, or there's just all of these types of DeFi services. There are just too many steps too far from where someone's kind of liquidity is. Like if you look at your normal bank account, the true unlock of TradFi is something that we're trying to do in DeFi, which is how do we make it easy to top up an account, So we have kind of this idea of on-ramping and depositing money into something that you're going to use for something else. But in TradFi, when was the last time you topped up your bank account, like physically?
Never.
Why? Because it gets topped up by itself.
Yeah.
Your wage gets deposited in it. That's the biggest unlock.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I deposit my wage in my.
Yes, of course. You're like one of the few, because you're your own revenue generator.
Yeah.
But for everyday people, Peter, Paul, and Mary, they get their wage deposited in their bank account, and based on that, now they start spending.
Yeah.
They don't have to think about, well, I'm going to top up this account to do stuff.
Yeah.
And I think this is where we're going to really, truly kind of unlock DeFi, is to bring people's like everyday liquidity, which is their wage and everything. If we are able to bring that on chain, then we're just one click away of DeFi services.
Yeah.
Now within that on-chain bank, they can have kind of access to this one click away great savings account, which fundamentally is a staking or something like that. We just use different words.
What's the single greatest impediment to further adoption? Because I've been in this space for about 4 years. Definitely not an OG, I wouldn't use that term, but long enough to kind of see trends. And it seems to me like it's definitely much, much slower than I had anticipated.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding, I would say the Bitcoin cycle. So, obviously we've seen a bear market and now we're back in a bull market. But nevertheless, especially in Canada, adoption is supposed to be around 10% right now, and it was already so 2 years ago. So there's been zero additional adoption, or it came down and it came back up. But what would you say is the single reason for this slow adoption, and why is it so?
Well, if your question targets, let's say, retail adoption, then I think the answer is there's just too much to learn. There's just too much to learn.
And it takes time.
And it takes time. So, fundamentally, that learning curve is still too high. It needs to feel like I've always been telling kind of my team and, the people that I meet, the day we're going to be successful, nobody's going to know, because it just so happens. And that's what I was explaining to someone earlier, that, when you see something that is super attractive, like let's say from a banking's perspective, you're going to see this great yields on a savings account. So what are you going to do? You're going to sign up, going to, email, password, and first thing you know, you're in your kind of dashboard and you can do deposits and etc. And their biggest incentive for them is, how can we get you to deposit money in that? Because that's the lock-in.
Yeah.
Get your wage deposited, set up a few direct debits. That kind of locks you in. So if that kind of experience of going on chain, let's say, or adopting crypto technology or blockchain technologies as simple as that, then people are just not going to notice that they're now on chain.
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, when you go from one, because you're seeing it kind of this neo-banking kind of trend, which is still TradFi, but in Europe, it's fully kind of this thing where now you have like N26, you had Revolut, that was one of the first ones, and now you have plenty of Monzo, etc., and they're all fighting to get kind of this consumer, and cost of acquisition is massive, and that's really what's making it difficult. But if there's just this new guy that comes into the play and offers a better yield than this other one, well, they're just going to attract this new consumer, and this new consumer is going to get onboarded on chain without him knowing.
Yeah.
So I think right now, when it comes to trading, I think not everybody wants to trade, and it doesn't kind of relate to everyone. And I think right now, and for the last couple of cycles, the only thing that was drawing people in is the trading. But blockchain is just so much more. So if every single person wants to have access to financial services. So not everybody wants to trade. But if, we bring this, not just me, but collectively, if we can figure out a way to make it as easy as signing up for a new bank account, then I think we're going to satisfy or fill in something that everybody needs.
Okay. Now we're going to finish on 3 or 4 rapid fire questions, 10 seconds, 15 seconds answers. The goal is to get to that 1 million views on Instagram or TikTok. So, why do we need to care about money or technology in the world of money and finance? Why is it important to the average person who lives a comfortable life? And that's maybe one of the keys, I guess, the distinction between, first world, third world type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a nuance there. But why should people in general care particularly about financial technology? In 15 seconds.
Yeah, so in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
The answer is much, much, much more complex and nuanced.
Yeah, of course.
The answer is most people don't care because they don't live in circumstances that makes them care. So I think that the great majority of people are in situations that makes them care.
Right.
Because maybe they have volatile kind of, if you're paid in an asset or a currency that is super volatile and it can can lose all of its value overnight. So kind of it's really about empowerment and financial kind of not freedom, but like empowerment again.
Or flexibility. Okay,
Yeah,
let me re-ask the question. Why does the world need crypto?
So I would
15 seconds.
So
I'm never going to get to 1 million without that, Jason.
I know.
People are going to click away.
I think it's more like why the world need blockchain, because crypto is more kind of the asset itself. It's not kind of the underlying.
They just
technology.
use the bit interchangeably, but you're absolutely. That's why we're called blockchain. So
Yeah.
why does the world need blockchain in 10 seconds or less?
Yeah, I think the shortest answer is that the whole world right now is fully centralized, and there's kind of this status quo and kind of a few gatekeepers of like decide what's going to happen with everything. And I think blockchain enables kind of this, power back to the people, kind of militant type of approach. So I think this is the single most important part, is really level the playing field, break the status quo, and truly bring financial empowerment to everyone.
Right. Disintermediate comes to mind.
Yeah.
What is your surest prediction about blockchain over the next 2 years?
Surest prediction. I'll say that most banking infrastructure will and kind of complicated cross-border payment will be fully on chain and running on stablecoin. I think
At the end of next year?
Well, 2 years, you said.
2 years. Okay, fine. So that's May 2027. I mean, that's...
Yeah, so I think like next 12 to 24 months, I think that the use case is quite clear. And now Stripe acquiring, Bridge. And if you look at the Stripe session that just came out and the announcement of stablecoin-backed accounts, they have the ability to convert into onboard millions of merchants around the world onto stablecoins overnight. So this is the single most important thing that is going to happen, and it's being implemented right now.
Okay.
So in 12 to 24 months, it will be deployed, it will be in the hands, and people will have started using it. And that's a huge...
So not a full transition.
It's not a full transition.
But it'll be
adopted
by all banks. All banks will be using it.
If you think of like Stripe, I mean, they process basically, I think, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's like 10 to 20% of the global payments.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Which is like...
Same comparison between stable coins and like Visa, MasterCard.
Yeah, I think it's $1.4 trillion or something like that. It's massive.
Very serious.
So if their infrastructure moves to that, I mean, it's a lot.
Last question. We're going to end on a negative note. Why not? What is the worst thing that could either happen to crypto or that crypto could make happen? Blockchain crypto.
Yeah, I think fundamentally we'll always find a way, but I think the threat is always regulation or uncertainty or unclarity, because, we're trying to do things right. And fundamentally, if, there isn't clarity or sufficient amount of clarity, then it stops kind of the momentum. Yeah. That's the issue, the momentum. Like from a technology standpoint, the momentum is there, but to deploy it safely and without any kind of concern with kind of the regulators and thinking, something's going to happen to me. We've seen that in the last kind of administration, in the US, and, the last 4 years, every single founder was scared, because
that's probably why we've seen a slowdown or like a...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that now if things don't, and there's great promise, but we're yet to see it. I mean, there's like the Genius Act is a bit on hold right now and et cetera, but I think that could be, again, something that could slow us down.
Thank you for playing along, Jason.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed now we get to that 1 million.